Not long ago, Jaques Station was to make a jump to Beagle Point on the opposite side of the galaxy. Beagle Point was the final stop made by the Distant World expedition. The station jumped, but to the shock of the explorers who waited for it, it did not reach its final destination. Jaques was missing, and all hope began to dwindle until very recently, when a lone explorer noticed a system on the edge of a galactic bulge which had a government. Upon investigation, this system was found to be the stop-off point for Jaques Station. The station itself appears to have experienced technical difficulties, forcing it to cut its journey short. Hearing this news, several members of the Hutton Orbital Truckers Cooperative and other player groups decided to fly out to the station in order to take supplies, specifically metalloys, in the hope of allowing the station to once again become mobile. It is no easy task, as the station sits at a distance of 22,000 light-years. Exploration, by its nature, is typically about outfitting your ship for its maximum jump range, which means carrying as little mass as possible. The heavier the ship, the shorter the range, and the higher number of jumps one must make to travel the same distance. Before the engineers gave us access to their services, the maximum jump range was around 40 light-years with a bare-bones Anaconda. Thanks to the services of Felicity Farseer, my very own Anaconda has a maximum jump range of over 50 light-years, and with the addition of an SRV bay and a small amount of cargo, I can still make the journey to Jaques and achieve a jump range of over 45 light-years. So off I set. I was aiming for a rapid trip to the station, only pausing a few times to land and take the regulation amount of tea and biscuits and maybe a nap or two along the way. Here are a few of the places I stopped at along the way, and a short description of each. The things which interest me the most when out exploring are the very large and the very small. You could say the extremes. Here is one of those extremes. This is an 18.5 Earth mass planet, and also a comparatively large radius in comparison to the Earth, meaning that its surface gravity is around 2.8. You can see many craters on its surface, characterized by almost donut shapes. These donut shapes are actually outgassing regions, where there is a small rise in the middle of the crater, which brings it back into its light foreground color. You can also see on this planet an extremely large crater, which my ship is going to pass over. The reason why I find the extremes so interesting is that for a large planet like this, the features which we can see from orbit are typically very, 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 very detailed when you get close. I will be heading into one of these cracks or Europa lines, and here I found that these lines themselves were made up of lots and lots of small cracks and fissures. And so what else better to do than to land on the edge of one of these? Here you can see a little bit of a mistake in that this planet actually has a gravity closer to 2 rather than 2.8, but still, as I bring my ship in, you can see that more and more detail is becoming apparent, and with the aid of the shadows you can see the true shape of the surface. Larger planets do tend to be a little bit smoother than smaller planets, but despite that, I've witnessed things such as large mountain ranges which from orbit look like small bumps, and when you go down to the surface you actually find a series of plateaus which are 5-6 kilometers in height. On this planet though, I did not spend too much time. I just landed, had a cup of tea, a few biscuits, and then went on my merry way. Here you can see the map itself of the system, and its gravity is 1.8. You can see how large the ice planet stands out. This makes them very easy to spot when you're just glancing over the galaxy map. Here you can see what I'm talking about before, about large planets typically being very smooth as I fly over the landscape. And you can see, although the surface itself has lots of features and would make an interesting drive, the planet typically is not covered with large mountain ranges. Another great object of interest are planetary rings. Typically, when we talk about rings, we're talking about gas giants, although it is possible to get ring systems around smaller objects, such as this high metal content planet. This ring system is actually split into two, as you can see by the dark band right in the middle of the ring. The other thing which will happen here is that I will pass behind the planet into the shadow and it will create an eclipse, which again was actually quite lucky at the time. Just like I spoke about large planets being quite flat, small planets do tend to have very extreme features in themselves. Here is an extremely intricate and also deep high-walled canyon. And just on the edge of top left of here, you can see that not only is the planet not spherical, but there's also a mountain just peeking out there. Here you can see an example of a rocky moon which orbits a gas giant in a polar orbit. This is really wonderful because it lets you see the full structure of the ring system of the gas giant from the surface of the planet. And this gas giant has a particularly big and quite beautiful ring system. So, after roughly 15 hours of flight time, it was finally the point in which I was close enough to Jaques to make the final push. So, after many stops on surfaces for sightseeing, the final jumps would be made and I would be arriving in Jaques' system. Now, the system itself is just outside of a rather nice blue nebula, which you can see here on the left-hand side of the screen. This would probably give the sky a nice, deep, rich blue texture. And here we are. So, not much of a blue texture in the sky, but I think this will become more apparent when we move further away from the star. Stars always drown out the background scenery, and with a bit of distance, the richness of the night sky comes forward. So, let's set our destination towards the station and get on our merry way.
Fuel scoop disengaged.
So at this point I've not actually looked at the system map, so let's take a look. Okay, so we have a large yellow-white star, and an interesting feature I can see already are the number of subgiants with stellar-style ring systems. I actually can't say I've seen these before. I'm just trying to remember whether this is something I've seen. Still, Jaques Station is located orbiting a pink gas giant with some rings, and here you can see the night sky with its slightly blue hue caused by the nebula nearby. Very pretty. So here we are. This is Jaques Station orbiting the pink gas giant. It's an Orbis style station which has a engine section mounted on its back. For those people who have seen a station under construction, this is exactly what they look like, with an engine section on the back such that they can be made to jump out to their final location. So let's get some docking permission and go into land.
scan detected. Landing gear deployed.
So, thanks for watching, and I hope to post some more videos of my searches while I'm out here. I plan to stay around the station for a while, search for some local barnacles, and see if we can get Jaques Station going. Thanks a lot.